It sat in an evidence locker for nearly 3 decades, a crushed cigarette, but forgotten and overlooked. But when one curious detective reopened the cold case file in 2023, that tiny scrap of trash became the key to unlocking a chilling mystery that haunted a small town for 27 years. What they uncovered would shock even seasoned investigators. Welcome back to the channel. If you're fascinated by stories of justice delayed but never denied, this case will grip you until the very end. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a true crime story that exposes the darkest corners of human behavior. Let's dive in. On a quiet night in October 1996, 23-year-old college student Melissa James left her part-time job at diner in Millbrook, Oregon. It was her usual Friday night shift, and she told her co-workers she had plans to meet someone later, but she never made it home. Her abandoned car was found 2 days later, parked crookedly on a rural logging road. With her purse still in the back seat, Melissa's disappearance shook the community. For weeks, search parties scoured the woods and nearby rivers. Flyers were posted on every telephone pole. Local news stations ran nightly updates. But as the weeks turned into months and then years, leads dried up. Eventually, Melissa was declared legally dead, though her body was never recovered. The original investigation struggled from the start. There were no signs of forced entry in her car. Her phone records were inconclusive. And while several men in her life were interviewed, including an ex-boyfriend and a co-worker who reported they had a crush on her, nothing could be tied to the suspect. One item found at the scene did make its way into the evidence bag. A cigarette, but discovered near the driver's side door. Melissa didn't smoke, and neither did any of her close friends. But without advanced DNA technology, it was cataloged and forgotten. For years, the case sat dormant. Detectives retired. Evidence was boxed up, and Melissa's name faded from the headlines. Her parents eventually moved away, heartbroken but unwilling to fully let go. In early 2023, Detective Laura Benning, a 32-year-old investigator known for her passion for unsolved cases, began revisiting cold files in the Millbrook PD archive. Melissa James's case caught her eye. The detail about the cigarette, but mentioned in the original report, but never analyzed for DNA, stood out. Benning submitted the cigarette to a state crime lab, which now had access to cutting-edge forensic tools unavailable in the 1990s. Weeks later, the results came back. A full DNA profile had been extracted from the saliva on the filter. The profile was entered into CODIS, the FBI's national DNA database. The match came within 48 hours. Alan R. Thorne, a former Millbrook resident with a record of assault and drug-related offenses. He had never been questioned in the original investigation. Thorne had moved out of state in 1999 and now lived under a different name in Nevada. Authorities quickly moved to place him under surveillance. Over the following weeks, they collected enough evidence to obtain a warrant for his arrest. Thorne was taken into custody in March 2023. Initially defiant, he claimed he didn't know Melissa James, but after hours of interrogation and confronted with the DNA evidence, his story began to crumble. Faced with irrefutable proof, Thorne finally confessed. He said he had met Melissa at a local gas station that night in 1996 and offered her a ride. He admitted to assaulting her and leaving her unconscious in the woods. He claimed he never meant to kill her but panicked and fled when she stopped responding. He also told investigators where he left her body. A search of the area led to a shallow grave in a forested section of county land less than a mile from where her car had been found. Melissa's remains are confirmed by dental records. News of the arrest and confession made national headlines. The Millbrook community, once resigned to mystery remaining forever unsolved, now rallied in support of Melissa's family. At the trial, which began in late 2023, Thorne pled guilty to second-degree murder as part of a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for the first 25. Melissa's parents, now in their 70s, spoke at the sentencing. Her mother said through tears, "For 27 years, we lived with questions. Now we have answers and justice." This case proves that no matter how much time passes, the truth has a way of rising to the surface. One overlooked piece of evidence, a cigarette, led to the closure of a mystery that haunted a town and devastated a family. If you found this story as compelling as we did, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe for more true crime stories that show how justice never sleeps. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of persistence.